Hey YouTube, Jacob Hemlock here. Hope you're doing well after this Thanksgiving we had. Now, today we're going to be doing the Storyteller's explanation for the Rapier, which I don't have a traditional one here. This is just what I'm going to use in place of it because it kind of fits what I need. It's a light stick with, it has, well, it's a tonfa. It's a tonfa I made out of screw and duct tape in this stick. But it's light enough to where I can get away with doing a lot of fast thrust if I need to. So I can at least show you the basics of the Rapier with this, and we can pretend this hilt is the basket hilt or whatever, or what we typically call a crossguard. Which, to be fair, if I had another arm, it would be a typical crossguard, but I don't, because I wanted to make a tonfa, which will get a video soon. Though, admittedly, it'll be a while because I don't really understand the basics of the tonfa yet. But that's besides the point. Today, let's begin with the basics of how the Rapier should work. And then we'll explore it a bit through a story that I'm going to tell you guys about Jacob Dietrich's hanging out with his master and doing some sparring. And we'll explore some shit during that sparring match. Basically, we'll go into more detail on how to fight with a Rapier and shit. But for now, let's go with the basic philosophy. Now, first of all, it's a thrusting weapon. You may have some variants like the S-stock, for example, which the blade's good enough to where you can do slashing attacks. Don't mind that meowing, that's my kitten. He's wandering around. He might jump on me at any random point. You guys might get to hear me yelp with pain as a cat falls into me and climbs up my body. If he does that, I'll show him off to you, though. No, I almost was hoping he'd come over. No, he's acting suspicious. Hey, little dice, come here. No, now he's ignored me. Alright, anyway. Back to the philosophy of the Rapier. Alright. So, as I said, it's a thrusting weapon. So if you have an S-stock, it can be used for slashing. The problem is, though, is the typical Rapier or S-stock isn't very thick, which prevents it from being able to cut through bone very well unless you have an exquisite blade. If your blade's peak, then you probably won't have as many problems. Hey, one sec. Let me show you guys little dice. Look at my big old guy. Look at him. He's so adorable. Isn't he? He is a king. Alright, little dice, you want down? Alright, that's enough. Alright. Anyway, the best way to use the Rapier is in one of two ways. And in the original olden days, it would be typically used as a way to get past the gaps in armor. That was its main purpose, really, was to be able to slide into a gap in someone's armor and stab the shit out of them. Now, obviously, you can't do it with this thing because it's too thick. But, let me see if I can give an example. Actually, I'm not going to give an example because we're on YouTube. You Google examples of Rapiers. Or, maybe I'll pop one up, actually. I'm not that scared of YouTube standards because I mark all these videos as adults. I'm going to put up some YouTube pictures. That sounds good. Oh my god. That meowing's gonna be a pain. I bet you guys are gonna complain about that. But anyway. Alright, from there. There are. Shit. Well, you got the scene. You brat. Get down. Alright, anyway. So, I've done this like 5 times now. Alright. The one other bit of philosophy you should use with thrusting, really, is that you should aim for the organs, which I can probably just pop up a picture of some manga just showing like all the vital points to hit on the body. And that'll be good enough to learn to Rapier. I don't mean to learn where to hit. Should really do that at some point. Let's see. What else do I need to review? Let me check my little script here. That just helps me keep things straight. Honestly, for this part of the video, I've covered everything I pretty much need. Let's go ahead and jump into the story. Now, I'm going to disappoint everyone because I had one guy say that he wants these story parts to be more cinematic, and I'm going to be honest. I don't have any way to do that, really. I don't even have a tripod, and I don't want to get into making costumes for this yet. So this is just going to be acted out still. And I don't, as I said, I don't have a tripod, so either the camera would be right at head level, where you'd be getting close-ups like this, and we'd be like, ah, and I don't feel like going to the effort of it yet. I just don't. Alright, so we begin once more with Jacob Dietrich. He's currently at his warlord's estate, visiting him to receive orders and surprisingly have a friendly chat. Somewhat friendly. Jacob is currently being lectured. People are saying you seem crazy these days, and you think magic is real. Warlord Stanza says with worry. That's the warlord's name, by the way, Stanza. Or Sonata. Actually, let's go with Stanza. That's what I put. Anyway, moving on. Jacob tilts his head back and groans annoyedly. He's been exposed as a weirdo again, as per usual. His warlord is someone Jacob would blasphemously consider very pretty. A face with a chin like an arrowhead, sharp blue eyes, pretty smooth skin, long black hair tied back in a ponytail, and he wields a spear along with 2 pistols and a wakizashi. This powerful, pretty man appeals deeply to Jacob on a physical level and on a personality level as well. Sometimes Jacob thinks naughty thoughts about his warlord, to say the least. And to say more, let's just say Jacob has inappropriate feelings towards him and his leader. His warlord wears fancy silk clothes in a time of war. It fascinates Jacob as to how brave he is, where Jacob wears at least a steel chest plate along with leather pants. Jacob speaks once more, saying, "Yeah, sorry, I had a weird fight where I did something wild. Forgive me for not understanding it." Was it the flying slash? A general in my army reported he witnessed you doing that. Jacob gasped with shock and pride. Hold up, that was real? Warlord Stanza nods with a smile. Jacob pumps his fist happily. Warlord Stanza sighs annoyedly. Don't be too proud. It's not something to be proud of, it's a spell of war. We can't be proud of these skills. People don't like it, and I don't either, to an extent. Jacob sighs and nods in agreement. I understand, sir. Good. Now I believe it is time I give you a gift for your hard work. I present you with a new weapon. I know you always like a new toy. The warlord stands up, behaving much unlike many would believe. Even Jacob was stunned. A gift? For me? The warlord reaches for a rapier sitting on the table and hands it to Jacob. Jacob smiles nervously and takes it, which makes the warlord smile brightly. It makes Jacob even more nervous, which makes the warlord take a step back. Will you spar with me? I have a rapier for myself as well. Now I need someone who can adapt quickly with these weapons. You're intelligent enough to figure it out, right? Jacob grins, raises the rapier as if it's natural. He's about to speak when he's stunned by his form. He's holding it out like this, and he's confused himself with it. This feels oddly natural, though it's strange. The warlord laughs fondly, which makes Jacob giggle as well. The warlord is taking a different stance. This is what comes natural to me. Which is funny, you have a high stance, while mine is low and by the hip, so I bet you'll be aggressive. Jacob shrugs with a smile. Yeah, I'll probably do that. He'll be defensive as per usual. The warlord puts his free hand to his chest, smiling sarcastically. What do you mean as per usual? Do you stalk me? No, we've seen each other fight, or at least I've watched you fight. You show off a lot. The warlord chuckles and takes a slightly more arrogant stance. I don't even know what to do with an arrogant stance. What was my arrogant stance idea be? I don't even get it. I don't even get it. How do I make a stance arrogant? This sounded good in the story, but now that I'm trying to act it out, I don't know how to make a fight. Oh wait, I know. Because he's like standing like with his arms stretched out, like the come at me pose, like Yujiro does or Dante. Anyway, I do. Now watch me show off I'm more of a natural talent with this rapier than you are, the warlord says cockily. Now Jacob's doing the same pose, laughing at him as he's challenging him non-verbally. Oh really? Is that what this thing is called? I'll take that claim and prove I'm better. The warlord smiles smugly and says something insane. Do it and I might make you a general in my army. Jacob gasps from shock, only to realize this may be a trick as the warlord begins to match right there with a quick thrust which Jacob barely blocks, stepping to the side as he does. Son of a bitch! You took the offensive while I was distracted by that offer. Ha! I did, didn't I? Then they battle. And we're going to take a short break from the story. Don't worry, there's not much more to the story anyway. You're just missing their little chat at the end. Let's go a bit more into the in-depth theory of thrusting. By that I mean I'm going to just show you the two basic forms of how to thrust. Now, obviously, this should be something in boxing would be akin to mastering the jab and the straight punch. And potentially the haymaker if you get like a third stronger thrust. But I really think there's only two main methods to a powerful thrust and a regular thrust, which this is typical. You just jab it forward, typical thrust attack. And then with a powerful one, you want to do a little jump forward. Well, not jump really. It's more like a quick step forward. Alright guys, it's time for everyone's favorite part of the video, the footwork, to see what I mean by this fucking stupid jump. Because, you know, it's a bit weird to say it's a big jump. Ah, shit. Alright. Anyway. Alright, wait, is that... No, that doesn't show my feet enough. There we go. Alright. So, if I were, you just need to do a little jump like that, really. As always, when you're trying to do a powerful thrust, you want to throw your weight into it. There was a spider. Anyway. So, whenever you want to, you gotta like jump, or at least like throw your weight into it, which can be with a stomp forward. And thrusting your body a bit forward as well. Kind of like humping the air. That's a dumb way to put it. Like, I should say doing like a forward lunge exercise. Where you're doing it very fast. If you want the maximum thrust, you really gotta jump for a brief second. Like just the tiniest jump in the air. Yeah, something like that. Now, admittedly, I could be wrong, because I'm not a rapier expert. So you might want to go, I don't know, somewhere else. You want to make sure you're not looking dumb. But to be fair, I don't even own a real rapier. But I just know the basics just from, honestly, just swinging swords around enough in my imagination and seeing it in video games. You can at least pick up the basics. It's really not hard. You also pay attention to history enough. The history of how people fought with these. Which, to be honest, rapiers, they don't have a good reputation in my eyes. Because mainly, this was a weapon for nobles, the rapier. They were mainly used just to fucking show off that you were rich. Like, they are not truly the most effective weapon. They just aren't. Like, if you really wanted to whoop ass during immediate evil era and shit, you should buy a longsword or a spear. But today we're talking about the rapier. Because it still has quite a bit of relevancy today. Especially because it's one of the... There's only two ways of swordplay that are still popular as a sport at all. One is fencing, which uses rapier style. to an extent, though it's different as well because you're playing as a sport. But there's also kendo, which is basically the samurai style, which you use two hands, do things like the powerful kendo chop, stuff like that. Yeah. Anyway, enough history though. I think. Is there anything else philosophy-wise I should tell you about the rapier? Well, honestly, let's also mention that if you're doing it with slashing, you should, as mentioned, I aim for organs or veins. Aiming for either one of those will get the job done for sure because the rapier is really meant to cut through flesh and it will do that job well if you have a good sword. Like, it's rare it's meant to cut through on bone, which is what it is with that. A good combo, for example, you could honestly, if you have a good enough rapier, you could straight up wield that thing like a knife to an extent. Because if you get it sharp enough, you can just fucking do stupid shit. You can just be like, simple thrust, flick it down, that'll deal enough damage to do a cut. If you're good enough with the rapier, you should be able to deal damage just by flicking your wrist. As you can see, I managed to generate a lot of speed still with just flicking my wrist, really. And if you are that good with the rapier, now, I will mention I don't get to be arrogant about this because I'm holding a wooden stick. Anyone could do this with a wooden stick. But you should aim for that speed with the rapier. Once you get to that point, you can do some fucking epic shit. I was just checking the timer. Alright. That's pretty much like the main goal you should really aim for with the rapier. Is to be able to deal damage with just a flick of the wrist. Because then you can make your slashing attacks really matter. You start with the thrust, you flick it down. 2-part attack right there. You really want to be able to master coming in with a thrust and doing a light slash attack where you don't even have to do anything like pull it back. You just keep it there, drag it down, and you deal damage. If you can do that with a rapier, you're a master rapiersman. Or fencer? They're probably going to be called a fencer. Alright. That is pretty much everything I can think of philosophy-wise for the rapier. Like, really, yeah, that's really just it. Like, that's, at least that I can think of. You really just want to figure out where to aim with the rapier, and you want to be able to be fast and powerful. As always with a weapon, really. But especially with the rapier, because it's like, you basically want to be the master of speed and power, to an extent. You want to do it with style as well. That is the goal of the nobleman's rapier. To look stylish while you kill a man. Which also means, that's the thing I should mention, you need good footwork, obviously, for the rapier. Because you basically want to be like that, I don't remember his name. Actually, I do. It's Rapier from Soul Calibur. You would probably want to be able as good as him with it. You could do some bullshit in that game with Rapier. But he'll be able to dodge attacks while thrusting forward just like a good boxer. If you get to the point where you're dodging attacks and still sending out a thrust, you're doing pretty good, bro. Now that I think about it, I forgot defense. And I'm going to be honest with you. Don't really try to block with the rapier. The rapier is a flimsy weapon. If it can't cut through bone, don't be expecting to go into a fight being able to just block all the attacks in a fight. Your weapon will get chipped within minutes. Like in blades are... If it's a thick sword, like a long sword, it's not going to be that big a deal. It'll be just a normal chip. But since a typical blade is thin as shit, like honestly about the width of this stick is what an S-stock at least would be. And like in a modern day, like fencing sword, is like the thickness of like a big screw. Maybe like 2 big screws. I'm going to be honest, I haven't held a legit fencing rapier. But you can tell from pictures it's very thin. very thin. So I recommend on the defensive you learn to dodge. And the best advice for dodging is the same with boxing. Get good footwork. Get good footwork. That's all you can really do. Get good footwork. Do some imagination stuff where you imagine yourself dodging a sword. Oh, I just realized there's one more thing I should mention. For the love of God, do not wield a rapier in this stance. You should not do a neutral stance like this. You should be a bit defensive or aggressive, and lean with your sword out. You should stand sideways, conserve space for where you can be targeted. Probably hold it like this so that you're covering your kidney as per usual. Or if you want, you can also do this, which to an extent I don't recommend, but I do as well. It's not the worst stance because, to be fair, you start with your sword cocked back so that you can come in with a stronger thrust than you could from this position. But the rapier is meant to be a fast weapon, so you're not getting too much benefit from going for the more powerful starting stance. But it's your call. So if you want to start with a powerful thrust, you do you, bro. Alright. Now then, I think that is almost it. Yeah, I guess I should mention the stances I know for fencing. One is this one I mentioned. One is this one I just showed. And admittedly, this one feels like you should have a shield for it. This is the way I'm holding it, or maybe an arm guard at least. But if you want to be fancy, you could wear cut-resistant gloves to catch a blade, which is just rude as shit, but they exist. And they could work. I'm not going to pretend it's a perfect idea, because if someone's really strong, they could probably still cut through the glove, but cut-resistant gloves exist, and I've tested them on my own knives, and the knife will stay in your grip if you have a good enough set of gloves. So you might want to invest in that. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, right. There's obviously this stance. This is probably the most arrogant stance I can think of. This shouldn't even be called a stance. It's like, this is really just where you want to start with the blade in their face, then you just flick it down. It's just basically where you're actually starting off with a slashing attack and not trying to thrust at the start. Ah, damn it, little dice. This brat. Alright, anyway. So, I suppose this could technically work for a rapier, but I don't know. It feels kind of natural, I guess. I guess if you want to start off with a powerful thrust for the head, that one works too. And also there's this one which feels like it's out of a Jedi movie, but you can go into a thrust for it. It feels natural, even if it's like a bit of an odd start. It feels natural, so I think it counts. And yeah, it's really, those are the stances. I haven't read any official rapier books, so I might be missing some stances, but it feels like those are the three natural ones. That's I think that's all I have for philosophy on the rapier. So we're just gonna finish off with the rest of the story. And then Jacob Dietrich's in his warlord stanza battle. And at the end, Jacob has a rapier aimed at his throat. Jacob is pressed against a wall, smiling awkwardly as his warlord is a little too close for comfort. You got close, Jacob. Jacob's smile becomes strained, and the warlord finally puts aside his sword. And he looks around nervously, only to see a guard in the sides. Can't push it, warlord stanza says under his breath. He steps away from Jacob and places his rapier on the table as Jacob lets out a sigh of relief. Unless you want to have some tea as a way to relax with me, you can go now. Jacob tenses up a bit at the thought, a bit fearful of the warlord at the moment. It scares him. And worst of all, there's a nagging thought in the back of his head that's confusing him. What did he mean by, can't push it? Jacob smiles politely and bows to the warlord stands his back. I'll leave for now. Thanks, though. forward stanza sits down on a chair, smiles and waves to Jacob as he leaves. And that's the story. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, not much more to add, really. Look forward to in my next video being about the tonfa, which I'm probably going to have to do some actual research on because I'm honestly the most unfamiliar with this weapon so far in my life. Because like I fucked around with swords as a kid, like not legit swords but toy swords. You can learn a lot about the philosophy of that just from fucking video games and fucking around with them, just feeling it out. Like I always say, feel it out. Take a stance that you like from this video, or fucking just fuck around with the sword yourself. Or find a stance you like, use the stance. If you even fucking want to do something like this, like I know I said you shouldn't, but fuck it. If you want to do the wide stance, you can. Though I don't recommend it. If you're using a rapier, always stand with your stand to the side. Little dice. This guy is so annoying. God, you were just so clinging for attention, you know. Alright. Alright, I'm just gonna... Alright, that's pretty much the video. I don't have much more to add, honestly. Like, honestly, if you guys wanted to throw me some like resources to like try and research the tonfa some more, that'd be cool. But otherwise, like my only idea is just to wield it similarly to a sword, except the philosophy of just beating the shit out of your opponent, and just figuring out how to use that other handle to block better. Because I feel like you could like use this end as a way to block attacks better. Like for example, I could block an arm attack on my arm by just swinging around like this, flip it back, and still at least covers my forearm as I use it, which would also work if I put it here. I feel like the goal of this tonfa really is to have some light defense as a guard around your forearm, which could be better achieved with an arm guard, but we'll see what else I learn along the way. Well, that's pretty much it. Gonna lean down and end the video now. Come on.